60% of the people of Ireland were baptized at that time. That means 40% were not. And the bulk of the people who were not baptized were forest dwellers. Kind of like the Robin Hood stories, you know, the people living in the woods. So they were hunting in the woods, they were living in the woods, they were making their medicine in the woods, they had their spiritual leaders who knew about the spiritual aspects of trees, and they were a forest culture. So the English came in, they cut down all the trees, and they made barrels out of them, primarily. They also made masts for ships, but it was mostly barrels. And then once they had kind of subdued the populace, they apportioned the land out to various lords. They gave them pieces of land. But now there were all these people, 40% of the population was homeless, with nowhere to live, nowhere to hunt, no way to survive. And they were roaming around. These were probably pagan, we don't know, but they weren't baptized, running around. And now, if they went onto a piece of land that was owned by an English lord to go hunt, so they could feed their family, now they were poachers. Okay, and you probably know this from the Robin Hood stories. Very familiar story. So they
Sheriff of Nottingham.
so the English solution was to pass a law that said if a forest dweller comes on your land and steals your deer, you can shoot them. Okay, now they put a bounty on the head of a forest dweller that was the same as the bounty on a wolf. And so I don't know if you've ever seen the PBS series about Robin Hood where they call him Wolf's Head. That's why, because if you could have shot Robin Hood, you would have gotten the same bounty as you would get for shooting a wolf. Okay, so there was a price put on the head of these forest dwellers, and
so there really was an Irish burning times that really did not involve fire per se.
No, it involved shooting people. And anyway, so this forest tradition began to be lost at that time because the spiritual leaders of the forest dwellers were shot, just like everybody else. And so the forest druids of Ireland, their mission, their business, is to recover the ancient tree wisdom, which is a very different focus. Most American druids are into, I would say American druids tend to be scholarly. You know, Indo-European scholarship, Celtic scholarship, but not many people are doing this work of, and this, as I said, this is what I've been doing for the last 15 years. So what I have here is just little bits and pieces of forest druid woods wisdom. And do we have time to,
yes, we
look
do.
at this?
Yes, we have a few minutes. We'll start going through this now, and then during our next segment, which will be a phone-in segment, so if anyone has any questions for Ellen, please feel free to call in, and the number will be up on your screen very shortly. Start with this, because that's fascinating to me. Okay, well this is a little knife that was whittled by a forest druid in Ireland, and it's made out of rowan wood. Rowan is what in America we call it mountain ash. And there's American mountain ash and there's European mountain ash, but the traditional name is rowan wood. And this rowan wood is very protective, and that's a tradition both in Ireland and in the Highlands of Scotland. So if you have a little knife of rowan wood, you could use it, if you were a witch, you could use it for your circle, you know, to cast your circle, or you can just carry it with you as a type of protection. And this is also rowan wood. This is a little equal-armed cross. It's very small. You could make a bigger one. But these little tiny equal-armed crosses of rowan wood were particularly used in the Highlands of Scotland. And what you would do is, because this is a protective wood, and it protects you both from lightning, from being struck by lightning, and also from sorcery. So it's useful to have around the house to keep the house from being struck by lightning. But if you're traveling and you're going into unfamiliar territory and you want to make sure that you're protected, you make this little equal-armed cross and you tie it with red thread, and then you would hide it. Say you had a cloak, you would put it under,
sew it underneath where no one could see it. They wouldn't know that you had this, and you could sew it right into your garment.
Oh, neat.
Okay, so that's a very traditional thing to do, and of course the rowans grow all over New England, so probably anyone who's watching this could very easily. But remember, when you do cut a piece of wood, you have to leave a gift. And traditionally, for Europeans, we would leave a coin or honey or cider. Those of you who are tuned into Native American tradition, you might leave cornmeal or sage or tobacco. But the idea is that you always leave something in thanks when you take a little piece of a tree.
And if you are not familiar with what a rowan tree looks like, in the fall they're very easy to pick out because they have beautiful clusters of orangey red berries. They look like kind of sort of like grape clusters that hang down from the tree. They're very, very distinctive and brilliantly colored red-orange.
Yeah, in the book Tree Medicine, Tree Magic, I have an entire chapter devoted to rowan, and you can make jelly out of it.
Yes.
It's very high in vitamin C. Yep. There are all kinds of stories about it, that the people who ate the berries lived forever, and I think what that means is that the families that ate the rowan berries didn't get sick because they were getting their vitamin C all winter and they lived a long time, whereas the families that didn't eat the rowan berries didn't do as well.
Now, what about all the acorns? You have lots of acorns.
Well, actually, these are hazelnuts and acorns.
Ooh.
Okay, these acorns are from my backyard because I live in an oak forest, which is a very good place to live if you're a druid. And the hazelnuts are symbolic of the hazels of wisdom.
And they were swallowed by the salmon.
Right, the sacred salmon. The salmon, it's the most sacred animals in the Celtic tradition are the salmon, the stag, the boar, and the eagle. And each of those has very profound symbolism. Those are spiritual totems for us. And the salmon wisdom, if you think about it, a salmon is an animal that is born in a certain area, goes downstream, goes out into the wide ocean, which is like going out into the world. And they have no idea where they're going, they just go. But then they know how to come back. They return to the place where they were born, no matter how far out in the ocean they go. So salmon wisdom is the ability to go back to the source. And I was speaking with someone earlier this afternoon about that. This person was saying that they asked questions. And I said, if you can formulate a question in your mind, that means that you already know the answer. And that's the salmon wisdom. It's tracing your own question back in your own consciousness until you find the answer.
And we're going to leave you with that answer. We will be back very shortly to discuss a little bit more of some of the fascinating stuff that Ellen has brought with her to show all of you. So stay with us. We've got some messages coming up very shortly, and we hope that you'll stay tuned to us. Thank you.